Africa's longest civil war, a 21-year-old conflict, has devastated South Sudan. The war claimed the lives of an estimated 2 million people, mainly through famine and disease, and millions more were forced to flee.
During
the war, I used to run every day from place to place, and there was no adequate food for the family. I could not farm. We were mostly dependent on relief. There was no hospital, no school, and even no cars.
A lot of bad things were happening when the war started. People lost their lives and properties, and others were displaced. If someone fell sick, they remained at home until they recovered or died.
Despite this history, people have hope for a better future after the signing of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement in 2005 and the Declaration of Independence in July 2011.
Assembly of the United Nations to celebrate the independence of South Sudan.
Stability gives people in this new African country the chance to rebuild and the belief that something better is around the corner.
So this is a great opportunity because there is an interest. Government has an interest of change. So this can be a great opportunity for building a new nation.
CHF, the Canadian Hunger Foundation, has been on the ground in South Sudan since 1999 and is committed to helping communities benefit from the opportunities that come with peace and independence. By engaging with local organizations, drawing on their strengths, and building their skills and knowledge, CHF increases the impact of local projects. These partnerships are fostering improved farming and better business practices through SPELLS, a project for sustaining peace and enhancing livelihoods in South Sudan. Traffic is a nuisance in most countries, but in South Sudan, this traffic is a sign of progress that couldn't have happened 5 years ago. There were few cars, fuel was hard to get, and travel was heavily restricted. Since the peace agreement in 2005, it is much easier and safer for people to get around. This is just one example of how life in South Sudan is changing and is full of new opportunities. Regions around the cities of Wau and Jaubor, where the SPELLS project is based, were particularly devastated by the conflict and now suffer from widespread poverty and dependence on food aid. CHF has worked with people living in the area to gain a better understanding of the needs of the community and to help develop useful skills and technology that will ensure the project has greater impact.
Most donors come and they bring people from outside. I don't mean outside the South Sudan, but from other areas. It is preferable to recruit people from the area itself, so that when the project is being phased out, it can be sustainable.
By working closely with South Sudan's Women's Development Group, a local nonprofit organization known as WDG, CHF has a clearer insight into the challenges that communities are struggling with.
The component of the SPELL project is very, very helpful in development because it focuses on capacity building, sustainability of livelihood of the community, and peace building, and other issues, cross-cutting issues like gender, environment, and HIV/AIDS.
3 small farming communities located near Wau have been actively engaged in the SPELLS program. The people in the villages of Kayengo, Mboro, and Busere are eagerly reaping the benefits of working closely with CHF and WDG.
The changes that SPELLS has brought are firstly the formation of the Peace Council, which is helping in resolving conflicts and restoring peace. Secondly, SPELLS provides seeds and tools that have been distributed to the community and help them to produce food for their families. Thirdly, the microcredit that has been given to women and men has helped them to run small businesses and increase their income.
As the conflict subsided in 2005, people who had been separated from their families and even forced to fight against them were able to return home to their communities. After over 20 years of conflict, there were often disagreements as returnees came to claim family land that had since been taken on by new owners.
Where there are people, surely there are conflict, it happens. Because of maybe conflict over lands or this kind of thing, or domestic conflict. So to sustain the livelihood, the project designed that peace building must be there.
WDG and CHF have helped to form peace councils in many villages, which resolve tensions and encourage a community-based approach to conflict resolution. The councils are made up of leaders from within the community and provide a forum where property conflicts and even household issues can be solved before they turn into bigger problems. The peace councils have been a source of empowerment for women who are often marginalized in traditional South Sudanese communities. Women now play a key role in the councils and have been given a voice through the process of resolving disputes, a big step forward in a country where only 16% of women can read and write.
When there is an issue involving a woman, the issue can be looked at from a woman's perspective, and the rights of women will be preserved. The Peace Council is not like a customary court, which can be biased towards men.
Tensions between youth in the community are now often resolved through sports, like soccer or volleyball. South Sudan's economy is primarily built on agriculture, and most people rely on farming to make a living.
Definitely agriculture is very important because over 90% or say over 95% of the citizens of South Sudan depend largely on agriculture.
Throughout the conflict, many people didn't want to plant extra crops for fear that they may be attacked for their extra food. This meant that families were constantly at risk of going hungry.
During the war, we could not cultivate because of insecurity and instability. But now, after the peace agreement, we are stable and we can farm. Nothing can prevent us from farming.
The recent peace holds great promise for farmers here, but there are a number of challenges that need to be overcome. Not the least of these is a smaller window to grow crops, as climate change makes the growing season shorter.
You know, people, they realize there is a change. The situation now, the climate now is not like before. Before, the rain started in April up to September, but now it is at July.
In order to ensure their food supply lasts year-round, farmers now need to grow more from the same field in a shorter period of time. So CHF is helping farmers improve their techniques and increase their crop yields.
Spells helped people by providing seeds and agricultural hand tools such as axes, machetes, rakes, and hoes. Farmers were able to increase their field size and produce enough food for their families.
Putting seeds, tools, and know-how in the hands of vulnerable members of the community, particularly women, has empowered them.
Now women are managing their own affairs. They're managing their group farm, and they decide what their farm produces and what to do with it.
CHF worked with local farmers to determine the best ways to increase the amounts of sorghum, peanuts, maize, and cassava they produce. These seeds and crops are now more resilient to droughts and pests and produce bigger yields that can often be sold to generate badly needed income.
Spells help me by providing inputs, like tools and seeds. Farming is the main source of food for my family. By getting the inputs, I was empowered and able to produce more food for my family.
New farming techniques increase the nutrients in the soil and make it more fertile. This means farmers can harvest as much as 60% more from the same piece of land.
Spells helped by introducing mixed crops to make the best use of soil nutrients and encouraged the planting of legumes as a cover crop to restore soil fertility.
Before spells, I was planting randomly and used to remove dead plants from the field. Spells taught us to plant in rows and use plants as mulch to preserve soil and moisture.
CHF initiatives make a special effort to support women farmers and address gender gaps. This means increasing women's control over resources, which results in greater decision-making power and the opportunity to increase their income. In most developing countries, women are responsible for 60 to 80% of food production, but are often the most exposed to food insecurity. If a drought or flood strikes, it can be crushing to farmers and their families who directly depend on their crops for survival. By diversifying their sources of income, families can ensure they have greater stability in case of a disaster.
This kiln helps the community in that people in the village have access to ready-made bread. In the morning they buy it and have it with tea as breakfast, and it allows them to go to the farm early.
Thatch is used in roofs here, and because it's made from harvested grass, it provides a readily available alternative source of income. Firewood can also be collected and used to make charcoal, which is sold for extra money. The right seeds can make it easier for fresh vegetables to be grown in family gardens. Families now eat these new vegetables to improve their nutrition or sell them to earn extra money for necessities like medicine or schooling.
The benefit for children is that now they have good food, and we sell some produce to buy them clothes and school uniforms.
In the villages around Wow, homemade peanut butter is sold in the local markets, but grinding up the peanuts is a time-consuming task. WDG gave this mill to a group of local women in the village of Kayango, which makes the process much easier. The mill is building a more stable economic situation for the families of the women who run it, and strengthens their position within the community by making them responsible for an important resource.
Women need the grinding mill very much, because in the past we suffered a lot from pounding grains manually. It was a very tedious task for older women like myself, but now we have been relieved of the burden.
Most of the farmers around Wow were just scraping by, so extra money to grow a business was hard to come by. Now, with the help of WDG and CHF, people have been able to invest in their farms and develop new business ideas that have sprung to life and become successful.
I received microcredit for running a small business. The proceeds help me in paying school fees and providing medical treatment for my children.
I benefited from microcredit, and now I'm running my small business. I've been able to buy medicine to treat my son and myself from the profits.
CHF, the Canadian Hunger Foundation, respects and empowers local populations as architects of their own development and draws on their strengths, opportunities, and potential. Entire communities are working closely with CHF and WDG to design and implement projects that are meeting the vital needs of the communities they work in.
I, Sub-Chief of Mboro, on behalf of the entire population, am very grateful for the assistance that we are getting from the SPELS project. It has enlightened us and made positive changes in our lives.
Beyond meeting the needs of the community more broadly, SPELS is also building the strength and capacity of vulnerable groups, particularly women. Newly empowered, they are confident that the changes will last.
I think the assistance that I get from SPELS will change my life in the long term for the better. The knowledge that I get will help me improve farming and increase my food production.
Women have gained respect because they have possessions and have the grinding mill under their management, and the entire community is benefiting from it.
SPELS is only one project in a big new country, but for the people it's affecting, it generates hope for the first time in a long time.
So our hope is in the next generation. We want to teach them, we want to help them. We need for them to love their country, new urban country. In order, if they do that, that is mean we are going to get good leaders in the future.
Newly equipped with knowledge and skills, rural communities in South Sudan can turn their innovation, determination, and hard work into prosperity and food security to create a better life for themselves and their families.